I moved into this apartment complex 5 years ago. It's nothing special, just a boxy brick building with creaky hallways, stale smells, and elevators that always seem to break at the worst times. The rent was cheap and I didn't need much. I wasn't looking to make friends. I wasn't even looking to stay long. But life has a way of stretching out in places like this. The only odd thing about the place, back then anyway, was apartment 6B, directly across from mine. The door never opened, not once. No one ever came in or out. But every night, every single night, I'd hear noises, footsteps, muffled talking, sometimes even laughter. I'd press my ear to the door and swear I heard two voices, having a conversation just beyond the wood. I asked the landlord once. Old guy, he muttered. Paid a year in advance, keeps to himself. That was all I got, and I was fine with that, until last week. It started with a package. The mail carrier delivered it to me by mistake. The label clearly said 6B, but it ended up in my hands. Normally I would have dropped it at the front office, but something tugged at me. Curiosity, maybe. Or that nagging unease I'd been ignoring for years. I stood in front of 6B and knocked. No answer. I waited 30 seconds and knocked again. This time, I heard something, a faint shuffling. Then slowly, the sound of the deadbolt turning. My heart started pounding. The door creaked open just an inch. A single bloodshot eye stared out at me through the gap. Hi, sorry to bother you, I stammered. This got delivered to me by mistake. The eye blinked. The voice that followed was rasping and dry. You shouldn't have knocked. I stood frozen. You shouldn't have heard us. What? The door closed with a hard thunk. I dropped the package and backed away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept listening, and sure enough, voices, louder than ever. But now there were more than 2, 3, 4. It was like a gathering. They murmured and laughed and whispered. My name. I swear I heard my name. I stayed up until dawn with the lights on. I told myself I imagined it. Lack of sleep, stress, paranoia. But then, I noticed something else. There was a second peephole in my door. I don't have to tell you that's not normal. I only noticed it because I saw a flicker of movement out of the corner of my eye. Something dark covering it, then pulling back. Someone watching me. I called the landlord. He came up, looked at the door, and frowned. That's not from us. What do you mean? That second peephole. That's not standard. Looks fresh too. We stared at each other for a moment, both realizing the same thing. It was them. The next night, I made a mistake. I knocked again. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I wanted to prove to myself that this was all in my head. But when the door opened again, this time all the way, I saw what was inside. The apartment was pitch black. The only light came from dozens of lit candles on the floor, forming a circle. In the center sat my neighbor, thin as a corpse, whispering to a dark space in the corner that seemed to move. Come in, he said, smiling. I couldn't move. My feet were rooted to the hallway. The thing in the corner began to rise. Not stand, rise. Like smoke, like shadow, like a spider unfolding from itself. You hear them now, don't you? He said. And I did. Voices, hundreds, inside my head. You opened the door. He wasn't talking about the package. He was talking about something else, something ancient, something waiting. I slammed the door shut and ran. I haven't slept in 3 nights. I keep hearing whispers from inside my walls. They're getting louder. And last night, when I looked through the peephole, my real one, I saw something standing in the hallway. It wasn't my neighbor. It was wearing him. The road stretched endlessly ahead of me, a gray ribbon under the dead sky. I'd been driving for hours, trying to outrun everything I'd left behind. My job, my past, a breakup that hollowed me out. I didn't care where I was going. I just wanted to keep moving. It was one of those stretches of highway where the world feels thinner. No towns, no exits, no signs, just trees pressing in on either side like they were watching. I noticed him at mile marker 112. He was standing perfectly still on the side of the road. Not with a thumb out. Not even facing traffic. He was facing the woods, dressed in a threadbare black coat. His head tilted slightly, like he was listening for something deep in the trees. As I passed him, I felt a sudden pressure in my chest, like dread. But I kept going. I didn't stop. And still, he was in my back seat 10 miles later. I don't remember pulling over. I don't remember unlocking the doors. But suddenly the rearview mirror showed a face behind mine. Pale, expressionless, with deep-set eyes that didn't blink. "Thank you for the ride," he said. I slammed the brakes. The car fishtailed slightly on the wet asphalt. When I turned around, he was gone. No trace. I told myself I imagined it, kept driving, until I passed him again at mile marker 118. Same coat, same posture, same tilt of the head, as if he'd never moved. But this time, when I looked in the mirror, he was already inside. He didn't speak again for a long time. I didn't dare look directly at him. I kept driving, hands glued to the wheel, mouth dry. Finally, after what felt like hours, he said, "You're the one who made the promise." "What promise?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "The one you made when you were a child, in the dark. Do you remember what you asked for?" Number I didn't. But something in me did. I felt cold, like something long forgotten had just opened its eyes inside my chest. "You said, 'Take this pain away. I don't care what it costs.'" The air grew heavy. I couldn't breathe. "You don't remember, but I do," he whispered, "and I've been waiting." I don't know what made me do it, but I swerved off the road. The car hit a ditch, slammed against a tree. The airbags exploded. I blacked out. When I woke up, it was morning. Blood on my forehead, cracked windshield. But I was alone. No sign of the man. No footprints. No coat. Nothing. I called a tow truck and told myself I had a concussion. Maybe I did. But something felt wrong with the world after that day. It was like the color had drained out of it. And people started forgetting me. First it was co-workers, then friends, then my own sister didn't recognize my voice on the phone. I was unraveling. A week later, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a black coat. And a note. "Your turn to listen." Now I'm on the side of a highway, facing the trees, listening to something that's almost ready to speak. I see cars pass, and sometimes I catch a glimpse of a driver who looks like they might remember me. They never stop. But sometimes they do. And I climb into the back seat. I don't ask for a ride. I just wait. And eventually, they remember the promise too.